And you spoke a little bit about branding, and that's something that Georgia has had to deal with as we've gone out into the world and tried to make the name known a little bit better. I think the SUS-Canada partnership will do that, especially between the Southeast and these 7 Canadian provinces. How do you make your case throughout the world, and how is it important for Newfoundland and Labrador, not only in Georgia to brand itself, but throughout the world in a more broad sense?
Well, you know, for years we had Newfoundland logos that were different for each department, for instance. And it was very confusing. Folk, you know, they wonder, who am I dealing with? You know, if you have a logo that shows the Newfoundland flag here, and you have a logo that shows a pitcher plant, and you have a logo that shows a puffin, you know, nobody has any clarity as to who they're dealing with. So we developed a new logo. It's the pitcher plant, which is our Newfoundland flower. And that logo is now, people realize that when we go into a jurisdiction, that just that logo alone says that this is Newfoundland Labrador. If we manufacture something in Newfoundland Labrador, that logo goes on it. And we're very strict with that, by the way. We push this right throughout all of government, throughout all of our industry in the province. We say this is the logo you must use. And people have come on side. We've put a lot of money into that. And we've spent a lot of time traveling throughout the world in the last couple of years anyway, I guess pushing and showing people what we have to offer and using that logo to say this is how you'll recognize Newfoundland and Labrador. And it's working, but it's quite the task. And in fact, I'm glad you asked the question, because we had talked about this with some people, you know, from around here, from Georgia, and they had said that they felt that it was time for them to really start dealing with their marketing and dealing with who they really are. And branding is very, very important for any company. I mean, you know, let's face it. If you look at a burger joint, when you see the you know what that symbolizes. So that works, and we're, as a government, we realize it works, so we want to follow that business model.
And I'm pretty sure I'm not going too far in saying that the U.S. is probably your biggest market, but I'm wondering, other parts of the world, where is Newfoundland really involved?
Well, you know, I guess we're involved all across the world. Iceland, for instance, we're a big partner. If you look at, we've made some inroads, or we're trying to make some inroads in India right now, and our fishery, of course, we ship fish right across the world from one end of the globe to the other. So I guess we've been trading partners throughout the world. We've been focusing primarily on the U.S. To be honest with you, we build on what we have, but again, we're looking for new opportunities. So if it be China, if it be India, we're there. Wherever we can find an opportunity for the province.
And Georgia is having an upcoming trade mission to India. I'm wondering, in your meetings, it's my understanding that you've been to India personally. I'm wondering, have you spoken with the Georgia authorities about that and what to expect possibly?
I did, and I can tell you that India was a great experience, by the way. India is the second largest growing economy in the world, and they have some issues around their infrastructure and so on, and I think they'll work that out. It's going to take time, but they're just starting to become a powerhouse. There is so much opportunity for Canada, for the U.S. to invest in and to bring companies from India back here. And they are keen on wanting to come over to North America. And I think we really need to ramp that up and get on board. And again, what we've learned in India, we're willing to share, just as we would hope, and we know that when Georgia goes over there, we'll be, through SUS, we'll be able to share ideas, we'll be able to share information that we've gathered in India. But I mean, if you look at what's happening in that economy, it blows your mind to see the amount of even construction that's actually going on in India right now.
It's interesting that that alliance is becoming not only a sharing between the two on issues that are pertaining in the local areas, but even throughout the world. That's really cool. One thing I was wondering is tourism, an emerging industry in Newfoundland and Labrador, and talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it really is. Newfoundland and Labrador has, we have beautiful summers, and we have lots of snow in the wintertime. Traditionally, we've focused on the summertime as being our tourism time of the year. We have great camping, we have fishing, whale watching, for instance, ecotourism. And what normally happens is we have like 3 months of tourism season, and then it shuts down primarily for the rest of the year. We focused a lot more now on the fall of the year when it's essentially a hunting season, and now the winter. And we have a huge ski resort on the west coast of Newfoundland and Labrador. The name is Marble Mountain. We have a huge resort of chalets that is called Humber Valley Resorts. Primarily Europeans are coming over and they're buying up this property. And it's a great opportunity for people to own a piece of Newfoundland and Labrador if you look at Humber Valley Resorts. So yeah, tourism is a big priority of ours. We've put a lot of money into our advertising campaigns. I don't know if we're running them down here. I'm not the tourism minister, so I don't know. But I do know that if I'm on a flight and they're running, because we run these ads on all the Air Canada flights and other flights as well. But if I'm sitting on a flight and they put up the ad, honestly, everybody just stops and they look at it. And you know, I know I'm biased, but when I look at that ad, it's like, wow, that is Newfoundland and Labrador. And our numbers have increased. In fact, it's amazing because with the price of gasoline, excuse me, and the price of travel, our numbers are even up this year as well, this past summer. So we're very pleased with that, but there's so much opportunity and we need to do a lot more, but we're really focusing on tourism. It was interesting, I talked to a gentleman from Europe the other day, and he was telling me about what happened in New Zealand. And in New Zealand, they were primarily focused on the agricultural industry, and they marketed their agricultural products to Europe. But they felt they really weren't getting the value from that particular product. So they took all of their monies and they focused it primarily and totally actually on tourism. And today that industry in New Zealand is worth $30 billion a year. So it tells us all that if we focus on a particular area within our jurisdiction, and we all have a story to tell, you know, I mean, Georgia has a story to tell, Newfoundland and Labrador has a story to tell, obviously New Zealand has a story to tell, everybody does. If we tell that story with passion and we show people what we have to offer, they're going to come here and they're going to spend money here.
And I recently read an article, it's interesting that you mentioned how big of an industry it is in New Zealand, but I think Georgia's tourism industry is the second largest gainer of income in the state, so it's obviously very important to both of us. Now, how would we as Georgians get to Newfoundland and Labrador?
Well, it's as much as people may think it's a challenge, it's not. You take a flight from here and you would fly to either Toronto or Halifax. In fact, there's a weekly flight to Halifax. And there's flights from Halifax into one of our 4 airports. So it's, we flew here, we were 4 hours from Newfoundland and Labrador to Toronto. And then we were, I think, a couple of hours from Toronto into well, actually we flew into Washington and then flew from Washington here, but we had some meetings in Washington. So it's not like this really long journey. We're close. We really are.
Some people like a journey. You know?
They do, yeah, exactly. I'd like to jump on a flight and get there in an hour, but but really we're not far away. And I think we need to take advantage of that. We really don't need to get on flights that last 12 hours when we can, you know, when we can exchange cultural differences, and I mean that in a positive way, with each other. And you know, there's one thing I've noticed about Georgia, and I've seen it every time wherever I go, and that is the friendly, hospitable people here are amazing. And we take pride in Newfoundland and Labrador thinking that we are very hospitable and that our people are friendly. And I got to tell you, Georgia is equally as friendly. There's no question in my mind. We've gone to restaurants and you know, the folk that serve us, they want to talk about Georgia. And then when we tell them we're from Canada and Newfoundland and Labrador, they want to know where it is and so on. So it's, you know, this has been a fabulous experience for me. And we want to make sure that we keep coming back here because, you know, when you're fostering business growth, you can't come here once and then disappear. You have to keep coming back, and I would suggest the same thing to firms that want to do business in Newfoundland and Labrador. It's great for us to do the Seuss thing, and I'm all for it, and we really need to, and it's going to be wonderful. But when we do that, we got to start fostering this relationship that we're going to have to start fueling the relationship. And I believe that we're going to see some great things happen between the two jurisdictions, no doubt.